Governor Polis moves last call up to 10 p.m. It's a move to slow down the spread of COVID-19 among the younger crowd.
Baseball is back, almost. The Rockies had their first exhibition game in Texas before opening day this Friday.
And a lot of people are strapped for cash during the pandemic, but that is not stopping a big surge in car buying. We're going to look into what's fueling the used vehicle market right now. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Gary, Corey, Natasha, Marty with you, and Becky will join us in just a few minutes. Marty, they had some storms yesterday. Do we have another chance today?
We do. It's going to be interesting. It's more of a split with some nice storms over northeastern Colorado and then several in the central part of the state, and we kind of get a few clouds and a little more than that. This morning, it's actually very pleasant out there. We're in the low 60s around here this morning. It's very nice right now. However, with the heat, the light wind, and the sunshine, it's an ozone action day, which means air quality could be uncomfortable for folks who have some respiratory problems. That's going to be true through 4 p.m. After 4 p.m., we'll see some gusty wind out of some weak storms. Please don't expect much rain, but there could be some pretty good wind gusts out of these. You can check them out, of course, on the 9 News app using interactive radar. Tomorrow, not quite as hot. Storms, for the most part, the next 2 days are going to stay in the mountains and in western Colorado.
This morning's drive, a pretty good one. We do have one issue I need to talk about, but first, a live look at I-70 near Central Park Boulevard. Things moving along smoothly, especially for folks who are headed east across town. Eastbound I-70 is an 8-minute drive from I-25 to 225. 6th Avenue from Golden into Denver, 8 minutes. 10 along C-470 through Highlands Ranch. The one accident that I do have is off of the major highways. That's located at Colfax and Perry and may be causing some very minor delays.
Last call is no longer 2 a.m. Governor Jared Polis shortened last call for alcohol to 10 p.m. Liz Kodalik is at Blake Street Tavern. And Liz, people are pretty upset about this decision.
Yeah, in fact, this restaurant tweeted last night that they're joining more than 200 other restaurant owners in fighting this new executive order, saying that we can expect to hear about litigation later on today. So we'll have to see about that. In the meantime, Blake Street Tavern tweeted that they were just devastated by hearing this news from the governor yesterday, just as they were getting ready to welcome fans back through their doors to watch the Avs, the Rockies, and the Nuggets playing games that may last past 10 p.m. Another big newsmaker that came out of yesterday's briefing was that 15 counties are right now at risk of losing their variances. State officials say the counties have 2 weeks to reverse their COVID-19 trend, and they need to submit a mitigation plan to the state outlining the steps that they'll take to reduce the presence of the virus in their areas. If they don't do that, CDPHE's executive director Jill Ryan says they would have to revert back to the state's previous safer at home phase, which requires more telecommuting and limits gathering to 10 people or fewer.
Our early warning system has begun to blink red in a few areas, so this is something that we are monitoring closely. The spread of the disease is increasing in Colorado.
And is the reason why also this restaurant executive order is going into effect too. So here are those 15 counties we're talking about. They include Denver, Douglas, Adams, and Arapahoe. CDPHE said 8 of the rural counties have already decided to voluntarily go back to those stricter rules. Again, they have 2 weeks to present their plans to the state, and then they'll go from there. In the meantime, this last call executive order goes into effect tomorrow, Thursday, Natasha, and it lasts for the next 30 days.
All right, Liz, thank you. Last call is trending all over our social media pages. The number of comments, tweets, and posts are in the thousands. Many comments show people feel the move is a violation of personal rights, especially on top of the statewide mask mandate. Others are happy with the decision and thank Governor Polis for keeping them safe. How do you feel about the new last call rule? Let us know your thoughts. You can text us at 303-871-1491. Here's what some of you are saying on Facebook. Veronica is not feeling this new last call rule. She says she doesn't even get started until 10 o'clock. It's usually when I go to bed. Claire says, well, it's officially the 20s, referring to prohibition. Others like Katie say, good job, Governor Polis. Lori suggests drinking at home. She says it's cheaper and safer. We're bringing the team into the conversation this morning. Liz, as you mentioned, this new rule comes at a hard time for a lot of restaurants and bars catering to sports fans, and many games run past 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I was just looking at the Twitter account for Blake Street Tavern, and just hours before the governor made this announcement yesterday, they were tweeting about how excited they were to become a major league sports bar again on Friday with the Rockies' first game on the road. That game starts at 6. Most baseball games last about 3 hours, so hopefully they'll make it. You know, the game will end before that 10 o'clock deadline, but still they're concerned that other games will be past that, and that might affect business. And Corey, the Restaurant Association, the Colorado Restaurant Association, agrees with this concern. They said that in a statement last night.
Oh, you just feel for them, you know, like it broke my heart yesterday when we got the update on that, only because, you know, so many of these restaurants and bars have been struggling so much, and they're finally back. They're finally up and going again, and then they kind of take another blow. And I know it's just going to be so tough for some of these businesses and restaurants to stay in business when all of this is kind of wrapping up.
Yeah, I get it. I agree with that. It's a difficult time for them. It should be noted, though, they don't have to close. They just have to stop serving alcohol. So if the game goes past 10, supposedly, if you want to see the end of the game, you can stay and watch the game. You just got to drink water or Coke or whatever else they have.
Yeah.
But, you know, I get it. It's just they have to do something. It's just, it's getting out of control, and this is better than shutting them down. So.
And
Anyway.
especially out of control, you talk about out of control, but it's that younger age group that we're starting to see get infected by this virus, which was part of the reason for making this decision about the bars and restaurants, because that's where us young people like to go on weekends and such.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, guys. All right, here are more of the COVID-19 stories, related stories that you should know about. Jury trials have returned to Denver. Most trials statewide are on hold right now, but jurors are hearing 2 felony criminal trials in Denver starting this week. They're going to give feedback to the court so the courts can refine trial procedures once restrictions are lifted on August 3rd. Supposedly, they're doing that in a safe manner right now. Students in the Boulder Valley School District will start school on August 26th, 1 week later than planned. When it does start, students will split into 2 groups. Everyone will learn at home on Mondays while the buildings are clean. Then the groups will switch off between in-person and remote learning for the rest of the week. And while most business has slowed during the pandemic, bike shops are booming. Shop owners say that interest in mountain biking has skyrocketed since the pandemic started. Production shutdowns in China have lowered supply, so store owners say they are having a hard time keeping the mountain bikes in stock.
It's becoming real, you know, right in front of us.
It was so fun to watch a little baseball last night. The Rockies wasting no time winning. Even before the shortened baseball season starts, they beat the Rangers last night 5-1 in the first of 2 exhibition games in Texas. Game 2 is tonight at 6:05. Then the long anticipated season opener Friday night against the Rangers. It appears the Rockies want to reshape their identity this year. The team is looking for a new Twitter bio. Write one, and they say they will feature their favorite that you have written for a while.
Well, that's a clever idea. One thing I thought I'd talk about is the monsoon wind pattern, which to my eye is starting up. This is our water vapor loop, and when I add a little bit to it, it indicates that the next week or so we have the summer monsoon wind pattern starting up, which provides the ingredients for storms. And remember, the entire region of the West is affected by the monsoon, so that doesn't necessarily mean that you will get a storm every day, but the region could see some pretty good activity.
One thing that I'm talking about, traffic is just one accident off of the highways. Everywhere else looks pretty good, but we do have a crash at Colfax and Perry that could be causing some very minor delays.
The question about how susceptible kids are to COVID-19 is a huge part of back-to-school discussions for families. Turns out it depends on your age. Our central content team connects the dots.
It's one of the burning questions of this pandemic. Can kids spread COVID-19? Turns out it may depend on their age. Let's connect the dots. A new study from South Korea shows that kids under 10 are half as likely as adults to transmit the virus. Researchers say it could be as simple as the fact that kids exhale less air, which we know is one of the main ways to spread. Scientists also think kids' height plays a role. Kids 10 and under are closer to the ground, so when they exhale, the virus isn't lingering in the air quite as long. But this is what is concerning experts. Researchers found that kids between 10 and 19 can spread COVID-19 just as easily as adults. One possible explanation, doctors say while older kids are closer in height to adults, many still have the bad hygiene habits that young kids do. They're less likely to wash their hands, socially distance, and wear a mask. That's why experts say taking extra safety precautions in schools are even more important this fall. And that is connecting the dots.